Hi, my name is Carlin Miranda from CareerShift2IT.com. 13 years ago, I was having a hard time trying to switch to IT, and I didn't know where to start, where to look for, how to learn it. Today's your lucky day. I'm going to share to you 5 steps how to quick start your IT career. Roll the intro. I prepared a few presentation for you just so we could outline our topics for today. So here are the 5 steps to quick start your IT career. And let's go ahead as a manual software tester. And let's go ahead and check out number 1. So terminologies and roles. So why do we need to know the software testing terminologies? Well, for one, we need to familiarize ourselves with the definition and what they're meant, so that you could properly ask indirect questions that are generally accepted within the industry. So the guys that you're dealing with will know exactly what you're trying to ask or trying to clarify. So over here in at the wikipedia.org, you could type in software testing. 5 years ago, or I mean 13 years ago, this is how I started. The words are pretty much sufficient in a way that you could easily understand them, and they're quite organized. So this will be sufficient for you to check out and understand each every software testing terminologies. And then the other one is software roles. In my last video, YouTube video, I discussed thoroughly what are the roles and responsibilities for each, or in the software development team. And let me just go over them quickly. First is the software tester, the one that audits the software, of course. And software developers are the ones who program and build the software from scratch, and or fix some bugs. You might as well meet some people like what we call business analyst or product owner. These are the guys who enhance or documents business requirements. They collaborate with other teams like the client and the other development teams in order for them to collect and sign off some business requirements or specification of the software or the application. And then we have a project manager or scrum master. Responsible is to lead the team, and also resolve any blockers and liaise with the client. UI designers are the responsibles for creating visual content for your website or your app. And then UX designers, or user experience designers, are the ones who plans and collects processes to improve your the seamlessness of your software or your application. So that's why you need to know these roles, because you want to make sure when you're inside the team, when you get on board the software development team, you know exactly where to ask questions, and you know the expectation of their output. Okay, so let's move on to the next step. So the second step to learn is to understand the business requirements and designing test cases. So why do we need to know these things? Well, first, we need to familiarize with the scope, what to test and not to test, then get clarity of the timeline, identify missing or clarify some gray areas with the business requirements. So for the test cases, we need to organize testing effort. It will help out map out how much to test and what needs to be covered, and then it will also show us which code or changes are failing and passing. So let's check a sample of a business requirement. And this is a this is a software or a CRM called Jira by Atlassian, and this is a sample of a Kanban board. A Kanban board is a list of changes of the software, and it provides you a quick overview, which is in development, in progress, and which is done. So here's the list of the items that are yet to be developed. So when you open up one, you will see a very quick short summary, and then it will provide you a status of which part of the phases of the development is, and then it will show you also who's going to test this change. And then usually a business requirement will provide you some screenshots or videos. These videos or screenshots are much like a prototype, so the developer and the tester would have something in reference to check with when they are trying to validate and or develop the software. Now another example of the business requirements may come in a walkthrough with the developer, or changes in a meeting or minutes of the meeting. So any chat or email changes, we will just update this particular backlog ID or user story along with the changes in the email or chats, so that we could keep the most updated document for this specific change. So that is your business requirement. Now this requirement is an input when you are trying to build a test case. So let me go ahead and open up an Excel file here. Now this is a sample template of a test case document. So what this is about is it's a sort of a format where you could list down IDs, the test scenario description, test ID description, and test steps, preconditions, test data, and some expected result, and who tested this particular step. So this is your it's like a form. So let me show you the filled out form or filled out test case template. So I used the FB login as your example, just for discussion and for easier understanding. I used the FB because some of you guys may very well be familiar with Facebook. So on this part is your test scenario. It defines what needs to be tested in this specific ID, and then your test case description is an overview, what needs to be covered in the test. Your test steps are the step-by-step or chronological action that your tester would follow in order to arrive in a expected result. So test data is your input to fulfill some steps, and then your post conditions and preconditions are some helpful links and prerequisites, just so you could fulfill the test steps. And then status is where we put usually pass, fail, or not applicable. Pass, it means this particular change was checked and validated and it's working as expected. Fail, it means there's a variance, or there's any or issues that is going on, and it's involving the functionality of this specific change. So that is your test case. So the third step to quick start your IT career is to know the test execution, bug reporting, and deployment. So why do we need to know these things? Well, let me read out to you a few items. We need to know what test execution is to make sure that there's a validation and verification of the software, that the changes are working, and the planned changes are delivered as expected. And then we need to uncover some irregularities or software issues so that we could fix them before we make the changes available for the users, because any change or any bug or irregularities in the software will cost millions, maybe billions for the users or the client. So we need to uncover them. Now we need to know what a bug report is to make sure that there's a proper documentation of the issues, so that we don't have to waste time with the developer trying to find which part of the software is having some software issues. So also we need to perform a test execution, because we want to know that both the old and the new functionalities are working together and without any issues. And then deployment is when we make the changes available for users. So let me show you a few examples for what how to execute or perform the test execution. So let's use this test data instead, as stated in the test case. So facebook@gmail.com, and I enter that test data over here, and then going back to the file, my password is password. So we want to make sure it's the right test data, and then copy and then paste over here. So before I hit login, I try to revisit the expected result. It says here, when I perform this specific steps and I use this specific test data, and I should arrive in a certain page that says I have successfully logged in. So if I indeed successfully log in, then that's a pass. If not, then that's a fail. That's the time that you need to write a bug report. So let's go ahead and check. So I hit login. That's your test execution. So there's an error. As soon as I hit login, there's an error over here. You are trying too often. Please try again later. So that's one of the irregularities or not expected result. So as a tester, I update the status to fail, and then the dates, and then comments. There's a bug. There's a bug. So and as a user, I need to perform a bug report. So in order for the usual application that I use, or that the testers are using nowadays, are Jira. So over here, this is your Atlassian typical Kanban board. So as a user, I can create a bug report. So this is the issue type. Is it a task, story, epic? No, it's a bug. So let's just leave it right there. The summary is a quick overview of what had happened. It should indicate a few of the module, and then a quick summary of the issue. And then on the description part, I usually copy and paste the steps to replicate. And then I hit the expected result. I include my expected result and an actual result. Able to log in, not able to log in. So to complete our bug report, there should be some important fields that we need to fill out. For example, the priority. So is the bug is the bug or issue having a priority of for a fix for the lowest, low, high, or highest. For me, it's kind of high because can't log in because the data says it's valid, but we still can't log in. So that's a high. And then version 1, where we tested out for example, the Facebook page that we performed to run the test case is version 1, so I put 1.0. Then the test environment, if there's any specific link or host file or IP, then a user or a tester should be able to add over here. Then the most important part is to capture test evidence. So as a user, I need to save or capture the specific error. I don't want a video, but for this specific issue, you only need a screenshot. So right here, I capture the whole screen or the affected part, capture image. So as a user, should be able to add any file or screenshot over my bug report to support the findings that we had. So over here, we could probably touch the file. Hit browse. Let me fast forward here, and as soon as I'm okay with the file, I hit create. So there you have it. So before we report this specific bug to our team, we need to make sure the details are correct and complete, so that when by the time they check the bug report, they could execute whatever their fixes, so that they could start their investigation. So that's it. Now, for the deployment part, here's an example of a tool that developers or DevOps uses to deploy the changes or the code to the users. For example, the Team City, and then your Visual Studio for any .NET related releases. So as soon as the tester provides a sign off that everything is okay and working as expected, no more bugs, and there are no any discrepancies with the changes, then we usually provide a sign off to the developers, like a go ahead, so that they could push the code changes to the live or for the users. So that's it. Welcome to step number 4, which is the practical understanding software testing tools and test management apps. So why do we need to know them? Well, first off, tools are very helpful to document results, help testers to capture what is happening behind the scene that is not able that we cannot capture in the human eye or not visible for software testers. So the tools will help us identify and slow down slow down things a bit. Now, for the test management tools, helps to measure effort, budget, time to delivery fixes, and enhancement of the software, and some documents some status reports so that the client and the whole team will be aware of what's happening inside the team. So let's check a few tools that we can cover in this episode. So sample number one is your Android Studio. This one is your typical device that the Android developers and testers uses in order to produce an Android APK to build an Android native app. So on this particular part, which is the Android Visual Device Manager, is a very helpful tool for testers. They can create a virtual device. This is an emulator, so this is the closest thing that you can get if you don't have the specific device to use. For example, the team has no Pixel XL2, then by using this specific tool for under the Android Studio package, you can create a virtual device that would mimic what that the device can emulate, and you can check your changes. So let's go ahead and pull up the emulator. So this is your typical emulator, and as soon as you hit play and load up the APKs and the APIs, it will provide you a similar console for the Pixel that you can get. So aside from the Pixel, you can also provide or create any device or any specification that's already out there. For example, a tablet or different kind of Android versions. So this emulator will provide you a chance to check your website or your app by using a device that's not really intangible in your hand. So let's just see right here. Let's just say I type in test and hit OK, and it will provide you a result. So it's a workable emulator that you can use in order to test your website or your app. So that's one of the tools. And then there is a similar device for iOS, but since I'm using a PC, I cannot provide you enough a walkthrough for the Xcode. It's the similar application for iOS. Equivalent for the Android Studio is the Xcode. So, but that's now this specific device or tool will allow users or testers to create devices that are really old, so that you could test old operating system up to the latest operating system, just to make sure your device or your software really works on the specific sizes and operating system. So it's really helpful for a lot of testers out there. Now the second tool I want to emphasize is the Postman. So this is the Postman. I won't go through it very deeply, but I want to make sure that you are familiar with the tool. It can be a plugin in your browser and in your browser, so it's easily accessible. This particular tool will allow users or testers to check the services behind your website or native apps, or particularly the website. So this is your endpoint, and it will check the expected format, the expected payload, and it will also bring you the expected status when the API responds back. So this is a really helpful tool for manual testers. And if you don't have any capacity to install the Android Studio, you can go ahead and create a simulator for devices. For example, if I'm inside Chrome and I want to test Visual Studio website, I can go ahead and click developer tools. And then over here, you could toggle for the device. And it will show you a mobile-like feature. So the view will become a mobile in nature. So by adjusting this particular part, you can pick any kind of simulator. So, okay, you could pick an iPhone X simulator, an iPad Pro or iPad. So what's the difference between an emulator and a simulator? Simulator is more of it mimics the UI, but the emulator is the most closest thing on a real device. So that's the difference. So you can't use a Chrome simulator to deploy your native app, but the emulator can. So that's the difference. So that's it. Okay, welcome to step number 5 to quick start your IT career, which is to get you prepared for recruitment and interview phases. So why do we need to know this stuff? So we need to know this specific scenarios. We need to know why do we need to have experience in recruitment phases when starting out? Well, for one, experience will test your skills and get you more attention with recruiters. So experience is gold for ITs. For example, if I have a candidate that has 7 years in coding or testing over a newly grad and doesn't have any skills, and if I have a project at hand and I need specific help for testing the software, I would rather pick the guy who have at least 7 years of experience in testing a software than a guy who is newly grad and I had to invest time to teach him or her in providing some in getting her started for the work. And then LinkedIn is the most efficient way to explore or get discovered. Third is the interviews and screenings need to be prepared to validate your current skills in decision making as well as your character. So I cannot emphasize enough why we need to use why we need to have an experience, because as a starter, you want to validate your skills and what you learn from steps 1 to step 4. So in order for you to validate, you will have a chance to use or get involved with an organization. For example, a website called user testing. So user testing a website will provide you an opportunity to get paid and also to provide an experience in testing out a specific app or website. You might invest a few things right here because you need a good mic to start with, because as the company says, it's user testing, so it will assign a specific website or native app for you to test out how a user would typically engage with the app. So you have to be very vocal on this particular website. Now, if you're not very vocal and you don't want to invest for mics, you can go ahead and check out this next website called testofwork.com. Now, this particular website will enable you to be engaged with any projects around the world, and specifically an example is this is a typical entry on their website. Testers from Australia or the Philippines or or in Bulgaria or Hong Kong. So if there's a need for geography related testing, then they can tap in testers. But usually, if you sign up for this website, and they could probably align you in a proper project, you will gain experience in testing out applications and websites. So just be patient and reach out to them and read their rules and regulations so that you could start gaining your experience in software testing. Another platform that we use is the Upwork. Upwork is a platform for remote work, but you could also use this as a means to find an experience. For example, I found this today. It's called functional manual testing, and it pays out small dollars, but 10 hours per week is pretty much workable if you are trying to transition to IT. So it is a viable job for you to inject within your work week to gain experience and to validate your skills. So this is important. Now, I want to highlight LinkedIn. LinkedIn is your job portal. It's my go-to portal for the last 5 years, and the importance of this platform is something I cannot encapsulate with. But for the last five organizations I had, I was able to get get some clients and interview opportunities by using the LinkedIn platform. Well, let me go ahead and check. So also in LinkedIn, you could probably prepare your profile so that you can gain some keywords and you can be searched. For example, in my profile, I had 8 searches. This is kind of low for last week, but by adding the keywords in your profile will enable recruiters and staffing agencies to find you and connect you with the right client. So it's important to update your profile in LinkedIn. And also, I use this platform because you can get real-time updates from recruiters by reaching out to them via messaging or chatting. So that's why it's important to update your profile over here. So by building your network and communicating and reaching out to potential recruiters and HR headhunters, you need to update your profile. Okay, so there you have it. 5 steps in order for you to let's just have a quick recap. So number 1, terminologies and roles, understanding business requirements and designing test cases, test execution, bug reporting, deployment, practical understanding of software testing tools and test management apps, and getting you prepared for recruitment and interview phases. So there you have it, 5 quick steps in order for you to quick start your IT career. Thank you. I'll see you in the next one. By the way, we'll link down below in the description the helpful sites that I used over here so that you could review them in your free time. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. So those are your 5 steps how to quick start your IT career. Please help me to subscribe down below, and don't forget to hit the bell button. On my next video, I'm going to provide you more details on how to decode a software tester job description. And I'll see you in the next one.